just a boy. Christmas brought so much joy. Couldn't wait for the presents and laughter. I couldn't sleep late at night, looking for Santa with lights. Those are the memories I still remember. Then I became a man, lost sight of who I am, but right in front of me was the answer. 'Cause on Christmas I feel joy, and I turn back to a boy. The answer is to stay young forever. This is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song, this is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song, this is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song, this is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song.
Ho, ho, ho. Hello, Star Wars fans. You know, there's just 164 days until Christmas 2023. Oh, and it's Friday. We're here to talk about the news of the week and just a couple of channel things up front before we get Jason Ward in here to talk about Star Wars. On Monday, this coming Monday, just around the corner, we're going to have a great big giveaway on the channel. Some of our channel members, those who have been Elite Squad members since the very beginning, or at least 6 months, we're going to do a giveaway on Monday. We have a Zoom call scheduled. Everybody can, who is a member of the channel, can get access to that link to join that meeting. We'll talk about Star Wars. We'll talk about whatever we feel like. It's just a time to visit. And then we're going to do a giveaway. We're going to give away a bunch of stuff. This Hot Toys, the this Sideshow collectible Hot Toy Fennec Shand from the Book of Boba Fett and the Mandalorian. We've got beautiful Ming Na Wen right there. You can't not love that. And then we also have this great big bad boy here. We've got Boba Fett right there. There he is, Boba Fett. You can see both of these are unopened. They're brand spanking new. We've been waiting for that Fennec Shand to come. So we're going to give away the Boba Fett, the Thrawn there that he comes with, all the accessories and all that, and the Fennec Shand. One great big package to all of our Elite Squad members are eligible for that. Those who have been Elite Squad for at least 6 months. So look forward to doing that giveaway on Monday. So we're going to do that. And my birthday is coming. My birthday is the 22nd. So we've got a couple weeks, or just over a week till my birthday. And we will be celebrating 56, number 56. The other little note I wanted to make here at the very front, very top of the show is that I set the chat to subscribers only because we get some of the bots and things like that. It's not to make life harder for anybody. It's really easy. All you have to do is go down there, hit the subscribe button. You don't have to join. You don't have to give me any money. You don't have to do anything like that. If you just would like to join the chat, participate in the conversation, just hit the subscribe button. Easy peasy. And then, you know, if you hate me, you want to go, you can unsubscribe. But it's that easy to join in the chat here on YouTube. So I encourage you to do that. And if you would like to support us on Patreon, I've been posting all kinds of new content there that you can't get anywhere else but in Patreon. And we have a 1 week free trial. If anybody would like to go catch some of the Thrawn content that we've been putting on there, just go over to Patreon. Join there. You get 1 week of free. And you can check out all that content that's over there. So, all of that being said, I've got my friend Jason Ward here. Jason Ward is here to talk about Star Wars. And look at that. There he is. Boom. Hey, how you doing, Jason?
Mad. Dang mad. How's it going?
A lot of people are. It's going fairly well. I've got work is picking up like crazy. I just got notice that a project that's been on hold is coming back active. I'm on a
Yeah.
new project, plus that project, plus an old project that I was on, maybe adding some more work. So, hey,
Nice. Work is work. Good to
plenty
have
of,
it.
plenty of work for Santa. And you know, since there's so little Star Wars content, that it's all good. It's all
La-
good.
Last night, Penny asked me if I was going to do your show. I
Yeah.
said yes. She said so. She's supposed to watch it right now. I don't know if she is, but she dug this out, and she's like, "You're going to need this for the show." And I'm like, "All right, I'll take it."
That's
So
fantastic.
there's your prop.
I
Merry
love
Christmas.
it. I love it.
From Christmas last year at school.
That's absolutely beautiful. And this Sunday, I'm actually doing a Santa Claus visit with somebody's birthday, and they're turning 6, I believe.
It's
and
Meg. It's Star Wars Meg.
It's Meg. Yeah,
She's an
Megan.
AI. She's
She's just a
6-year-old
little
AI.
baby. Yeah.
Yeah. Makes sense.
No, there a lot of people are upset. But you know, one of the things that I founded the channel on, one of the reasons I got here is to talk about the content
Rage.
of Star Wars.
Sorry. Oh, okay. You're right. I was getting confused.
Yeah, we like to talk about the content of Star Wars.
Not
It-
unbridled rage. I was wrong.
It's fantastic when we have new content to discuss. Sometimes we don't have new content to discuss, but there's still Star Wars news. And today is one of those days. We don't have a lot of Star Wars content to talk about. There's a little bit. We'll talk about the Ahsoka trailer.
We're just a couple of industry bros, just talking about Hollywood, baby. What?
There you go. And we also going to have, oh my goodness, holy smokes, we've got an amazing, super generous super chat coming in just a second. You'll see it. It's unbelievable.
Anna, don't quit your
Absolutely
job.
unbelievable.
It's good. It's good. But don't quit the job, though.
No.
I know you're seeing stars because we're talking about Hollywood today. You got this big super chat.
Look, I'm blown away by this, Kanshu.
That's really cute.
Thank
That's
you
really nice.
so much for that. It means the world to me. As I was saying, I started the channel to talk about Star Wars content, the things of Star Wars. And so every so often we have to talk about the news of the day. And look, I'm not perfect. Every now and then I get caught up in the controversies and the battles and the nonsense. And I don't like to do that. And I saw where Star Wars Theory kind of got drug into that this week as well. And he put out a video today saying, look, I don't like that. Theory likes to talk about lore. He loves to talk about lore. That's what he built his channel on. That's what he did. But he gets caught up in that stuff every now and then too. And he causes all kinds of disruption. But just because the sheer size of his channel, not throwing shade at him or anybody else. You do you. And Star Wars Theory is
But this is now a rage bait channel. That's what you're saying.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
Kanshu, thank you
I'm
for
following.
the 50 Canadian. Just here to support you. Thank you so much. Keep doing what you're doing for the community. God bless you. Thanks so much.
Could
It
have went to
means
a
the world
nicer
me.
guy. I'll tell you that much.
Thank you, Jason. And we try to use the funds here to grow the channel and to take care of this community. And so it really does make a difference. It makes more difference than you can know.
You have to give an old timey spanky
Look, this is
remember when they used to do that?
Yes.
Why they stop doing that? I like that. I don't know what that even means, but I like it. I've seen the old timey stuff, and I'm like,
I
hey, you should bring that back.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So yeah, we'd like to talk about Star Wars content, and we're going to talk about Thrawn some today. I've got a quote here from the Thrawn Ascension novel. No, Thrawn Alliances.
We've
Thrawn
never done that before.
Last week we talked, or a couple weeks ago, we talked about the Thrawn book from 2017, and we're trying to lead up to the Ahsoka series so that folks have some idea of who is this fella. If you've never seen the blue guy with red glowy eyes, except for in the trailer this week, you're like, that dude looks like Elon Musk.
I knew it. Yeah.
Right. We want to give you a little more context than that. Right. So you'll see. I posted a video earlier this week that was just a cut out of that portion of the show. We'll try to do the same thing now, where we will talk about a quote from Alliances, and then I'll try to cut that portion of the show and post it individually as well. Yeah, Nerd Mafia has been reading through. He's on chapter 18. I've already got entire 2017 Thrawn novel posted on Patreon. I've got Alliances. I've got all the way through the 17th, the chapter 17 on the 17th. I'm trying to do a chapter a day. All of those are recorded, and all of those are queued up to post each day. Yeah. Got a wedding to go to tomorrow down in North Carolina. We're going to be traveling.
Santa's thinking a second wife. Congratulations. No. Oh,
no.
Okay.
Look, I've got three Mrs. Clauses
maybe Ray
already.
maybe Ray got your letters. So.
I've got 3 Mrs. Clauses already. Santa doesn't need a 4th.
Oh, hey, horn dog. No. Oh, you mean like I got you. Sorry, I know what you mean.
No, it's great.
I thought maybe you had a new rap name and it was 56 Cent because of your new age.
Oh, well, maybe we'll have to. No,
got clauses everywhere. Mrs. Clauses everywhere.
No, it's good. So the Ahsoka trailer came out this week, and it was great. It was great. And there's a lot of excitement. We're going to be talking about a lot of other news as it relates to the Actors Guild strike, right? SAG-AFTRA's striking now. Today's like day 2 or day 1. I think the first full day of their strike. The writer's strike, they're on day 74, something like that, if my math is right.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm not even counting anymore because it's going to probably be over a year, I think, at this current rate.
Really? We talk about like 6 months.
Well, I always said 1 year was like the nightmare scenario.
Right.
And then you saw the I don't remember if we talked about it or if you saw the piece where some studio executives talked to Deadline and they were like, yeah, we're going to let them go until October until they lose their homes.
Yeah.
We're not even going to talk to them until then.
Hey, we've got your best friend in the world. No, I kid. He's your nemesis.
He's my arch nemesis.
He's part of the trio of terror. I don't know.
He is.
Rob Sketchcraft. Hey, Rob. Good to see you.
Hey.
Oh, good morning. Good morning, Rob.
Good morning.
Hey. So someone was complaining about a CEO, and I had to show up.
Oh, okay.
So
of course. Thanks for joining the show today. With this strike, and as I was saying, we love to talk about the content of Star Wars. We know Ahsoka is scheduled the 26th of August. We get the 2-episode premiere.
23rd, man. It's my birthday.
23rd.
Don't you know my birthday? It's like the most important birthday of all time.
23rd of August.
God. No, I'm kidding.
When
we get 2 episodes.
We get 2 episodes. And then there's 6 more episodes after that. And Meg covered that and get the whole schedule there. Once we're through Ahsoka, we're supposed to get Skeleton Crew right here at the end of the year, right?
That was the original plan, was that it was going to come out. They've said it many times. That's their like goal. We know we have internal sources who say that's when it's supposed to happen. I still keep going like, but is it?
Right.
It might just simply be the fact that it like so many things are being ironed out, like about how they're going to move forward and what's going to happen. That they're just not giving release dates, but they seem to be waiting later and later to give release dates in general right now. Like we just got the 23rd date within the last couple of weeks for Ahsoka. So,
right.
If they do that again, it means we won't know the Skeleton Crew release date until September to October ish.
Well, and that's the thing. Will this announcement that came from Iger and the SAG-AFTRA strike, the writer strike, will they take this opportunity specifically to what Iger's comment was, right? We're going to slow down content. We're going to take a look at things and kind of reassess what we're doing with these franchises, Star Wars and Marvel being 2 of the of interest, right?
Yeah.
So with that, Star Wars, and Marvel, they have a lot of shows already in the pipeline. They have a lot of them already sort of on the calendar. If they're going to take a look at it, does that mean, and is it likely that calendar has been scrapped and we're going to come up with a new one.
It's possible.
Yeah.
It's completely possible. But like yesterday, Bespin, Rob, and I broke it down the whole thing, and we were going over the whole what Iger's words were in general over the last couple of days and stuff. And like the one thing that occurred to me after all was said and done is that we know there are more movies coming out than we've had in the next like 2-year period or whatever. Once we hit 2026, anyway, there's more Star Wars movies coming out than we've had since before 2019 in a short time. So that's not necessarily true, but from the perspective of Disney Plus, I think it's true because I don't think they're going to be releasing Disney Plus shows in the same quarter as the films. I don't think they're going to want to muddle up their film slates with any of that. And I think that might be where this goes. This is where I'm hoping it goes anyway. Let's just say it's a hope and a good guess at this point, because you're not going to want to release the new Lando show that ain't happening, as Sam says, on the same month as you're doing that. Like they originally did Mando that way with 9. But the thing that we could take away from Mando and 9 is Mando became a phenomenon and 9 wasn't good enough in a lot of ways. And nobody remembers 9 now. 9 fell off the landscape. You couldn't sell a Dio shirt to save your life. And it didn't get its time at the same quality aside, whatever anybody's opinion is. Mando sucked all the Star Wars life out of the whole era, the whole time. So I think they may have learned a lesson from that. I hope, but that's fair, Rob. No, it's completely fair.
Look, if I could play Captain Hindsight for a second here, I too was thinking about the show we had yesterday because that's what I do. I dwell, and
we're a couple of dwellers.
Something that dawned to me. Disney's strategy for video games has been to license games out to developers and then let developers make them for publishers, right? To treat it more of a licensing opportunity. They don't really do anything in-house. Any in-house studios Disney set up for any games, whether it was Split Second or Disney Infinity, you name it, they've dissolved those studios and they license out. And then they went and decided to take TV content and make it in-house, put it on their own streaming platform. When maybe what they should have done was the reverse, was license TV content out selectively, specifically to different platforms, whoever wants to pay them to do it, to help upfront those costs, amortize that, and then use that to then backbone off into a movie that they would own, right? That they could financially profit off of.
And then archive on Disney Plus
simultaneously, if you're going to spend $250 million on a series, you could put that into a big budget video game in-house and more than likely make your money back. Even if you didn't on the initial sales, you certainly with DLC strategies or, lifetime. I mean, it's a difference between buying one video game and asking a family to sign up monthly to your service, whether you're releasing something or not. Right.
Yeah. Do you think though, do you think that Disney can would or could, less forced to give up Disney Plus? Because that's like the only thing is I still think the original goal of owning a streaming platform when all is settled is still a really lucrative, huge thing to have. But right now they're not selling me on why I should keep a subscription to their service. I don't have it right now, and I don't miss it. Well, I already own all the content that comes on there except for the television shows, and
well, that's the thing. That's the thing. So there's a few things about these streaming services. We know it's a brand new medium for most of these studios, and they're all trying to figure it out. The Netflixes of the world were marketing. They had the corner of it. Now everybody wants their own slice of it. So during COVID, it was really easy to put direct to consumer on there, and nobody was doing anything else. So why not go buy these services? Now we're back to more or less life as normal. And it seems, and I heard you guys talking about this, and I've heard lots of folks talking about it, is that the streaming services are sort of like a flesh-eating bacteria that's drawing off of their own body, right? Like it's
You took that away from our conversation. We didn't say anything like that. I just want people to know.
it's just that like the movies have been
Gatlinburg, and let's have a lot of flesh-eating pawns, Jason. You know what I mean?
Rob, what he's taking is he's taking a Phantom Menace perspective on this. That he's saying the body isn't balanced. There
Right.
is, it's not even.
That's it.
And it's becoming cancerous.
Yeah, it's that.
Hold on, Santa's just copying off Jason's homework at this point. That's the answer.
Hey, together we make one smart guy. So,
all right, you finish.
One half smart guy.
One half smart guy.
I don't know.
We stand on each other's. We stand on each other's shoulders, so we're real tall.
No, it like the movies. So there's been a lot of talk this year, and especially this summer, about the box office and how why go to see a movie that isn't like your number one movie of the year when you can see it in just a few weeks on their streaming service. If you don't have to go see it opening weekend, you can catch it later. Well, just catch it later because you have that opportunity.
Well, Santa, I can elaborate on this with just some historical data, which I'm sure you would remember since you're turning 56. I believe this industry had the same problem in the mid to late 80s when video stores became national. They weren't really mom and pop. You got the national chains took over. And there was this giant dip in the theatrical experience in terms of people going to movies. There was also a giant dip in the quality of film, but there were some still bangers. There were some winners out there.
But they had 99 copies of Bird on a Wire. You could totally rent it if you needed the rent.
That's the 90s, but in the late 80s, you were like, am I going to go to the
Bird on the
theater
Wire
to see
was 90s,
Mosquito?
really?
Am I going to go see Mosquito Coast for real? Am I really going to drag the family out to go see that movie?
Right.
Or am I going to wait till it comes to a video and I can just rent it?
Well, and there's the thing, Rob, though, you're right about this. The number of copies in your video rental store, they might have like 5. You're competing with 100 people who want it, and there's 5 people.
Really wasn't the perception, though. People just assumed they could just go get it at some point or rent it.
Yeah, a lot of times you'd go and it was empty, and you had to go pick something else, right?
My father took the route of, well, I'll just wait till it comes to HBO. Just wait 2 years. Doesn't matter. I was like,
my route was always like, this one looks like it has boobs in it.
Well, that's how Netflix kind of first started with the direct mailings. Is because if I needed the blockbuster movie and I went to the local video store and they didn't have a copy, I can't get it. I could order it from Netflix, and I know when it's going to show up. All right.
Well, I had that initial Netflix service, and I can tell you what dragged me into it was that I just didn't want to pay late fees, and I didn't want to have to return the movie in 3 days.
Right.
I had a DVD burner, Rob, and I would like rent them, and then I would copy it. I'd be like, I got so many movies, and you know how many of those movies I got? None of them now. It was the worst idea. I spent more money doing that
But I bring this up because I'm like, all right, well, what happened then to deal with that, And I think, quality matters. You did start to see like the blockbuster format kind of sort of come back with the summer of Batman and Indiana Jones, and to a lesser extent Ghostbusters 2.
No, you stop that. Stop that. Bobby Brown on our own, Run DMC, redoing the Ghostbusters theme song. Who could ask for more? Not me, not this guy.
But they also like invested in higher qualities. We had a conversation yesterday. I know Jason thinks I'm always bringing up Jerry Maguire, but Jeffrey Katzenberg was one of the heads over at Disney, and he wrote a memo in 1991-92 after Dick Tracy came out and bombed, saying that they need to go back to singles and doubles, which was a strategy that got them through. The Touchstone era of Disney did quite well even in that late 80s because they weren't spending $100 million on. They weren't spending $100 million, but they weren't spending, let's say, $40 million or something. They were spending $17 million on like big business, which actually did good business for them one way or the other.
They were buying Flight of the Navigator from third-party markets and stuff.
Right. So the question I have now is like, what do they take away from it? Is there anything that you can learn from that strategy? And obviously you could say everyone wants to be an accountant now on the internet. They're like, oh, they got to bring the budgets down. Everyone's like, like they want to bring everyone wants the budget brought down until it's their favorite property and they see it, right?
Let me break this down for you, Rob. You're clearly confused. So it's profits are here. but the budgets are here, Rob. And we need we need those like this, Rob. You're dumb. That's what we need.
Right. So can you imagine now? I can already see it. I'm really good at I feel I'm pretty good at just figuring what people bitch about because I'm naturally I have that in me, right?
You're a bitch,
so I'm like, what I complain about. I'm like, all right. So they make a Star Wars movie for $100 million, and then you're gonna hear for 2 years plus. So Indiana Jones got 300 million, but a Star Wars movie doesn't. You know, like you're just never. You're never gonna.
Yeah, right. How much is the Ray budget? It should be 320 million.
And if they were spending 300 million, then they're arguing to be they need to stop spending 300 million. They can't expect every Star Wars movie to make $1 billion. What's going on? So I think at the end of the day, like as a creative, what I try to do is never think about what a budget is. Never think about like any of that stuff. It's just to go, how can I get someone to say, I'm burnt out on this, I don't care about this, to be interested in something, you know? And that's, they have to think about that. Like they really have to think about it from that, not just we're going to get the people who like this, but how can I get the person that doesn't care to come see this? Like, and it doesn't mean you're catering to non-fans. It's not what I'm talking about. No, this is a different thing. Yeah. You can still make something that's, I made little art tributes, right? Little pieces of work that people have said, I don't even care about Battletoads, but I'd buy that one. Right. Like, and so that's not the same thing. I always say, and I'll let you go, Santa, but I just want to, there's a difference between having fun and making fun, right? Making fun of. And I always say, like, these properties, you should feel like there's a sense of fun about it, but it shouldn't be making fun of itself. And I feel like when you got the wrong people involved and they're doing that wink and nod to themselves, you know, like that's the thing you want to avoid. Anyway.
So you guys have touched on a couple of really, really, I think, on the nose topics. When we talk direct to consumer, for our entire lives, that was network or cable television, right? So it would go out, they could still get advertising revenue. They could, what is it when you rent it out to other studios? License it out, right? You can license it out. Let the Sci-Fi Network have it every weekend for a couple $1 million. Syndication. That's what I would. Syndication. So you put it out. You get syndication. You get your ad revenue to try to recoup.
Which is why we have some bad Clone Wars episodes, by the way. It was just to get the syndication number up.
Oh, really? Yeah, but anyway, that's how you recoup your revenue. Now we've got direct to consumer. It's streaming service. And in the streaming service, are you retaining, growing, whatever your subscription model to equate what you would have gotten from revenue from advertising and syndication? And I think you kind of touched on it. I just saw an advertisement today for the Disney cable channels. It came up on my YouTube feed as I was catching up on the news and things from yesterday. I was like, why am I seeing a Disney Channel ad on YouTube? Right. So I think we might end up seeing more of this. And they mentioned before, might they start leasing out to Netflix or to other?
Or I think the other thing, Santa, which I said yesterday, I always go, well, what have I been using that I normally would never use, that I would not even be interested in, but they've got me somehow? And I actually put on Tubi because it has like MasterChef Australia episodes and stuff, right? And I'm like, and I've seen that grow, and I'm like, I wonder if Disney will just find a way to either turn Disney Plus into a Tubi or create their own Disney Tubi. You know,
I think like me, Bespin particularly, I think was the first person to say this to me. He was like, Iger's in love with Zaslav. They're removing content from HBO to put it on their, I don't remember what you call those services, but your ad-based free service.
Yeah.
And he's like, and they're removing content like Willow, some Disney movies. And when they do that though, and they put it onto that new service, that breaks part of the original deal they had with the people for like Disney Plus. And that's why they're doing it. Like it should be the same rate in the fast services. Thank you. Fast and the Furious services. So but when they go and they like do that, sometimes it messes with the original deals. That's why they're like doing it, because
well, that's what these a lot of these strikes
it's crooked,
are about.
and it's crooked.
Yeah.
And when Bob Iger goes, "Oh, I'm really disgusted with them," it's like, you're disgusting, buddy. What are you talking about?
I bring this up, and we've talked about it before too. I think that's what Hulu is, and that's why they're going to try to buy out the rest of the Hulu thing.
You said that before, and that's, I think, the smartest idea, that's what Hulu would become.
Because I've been watching, we've been watching some old rerun shows on Hulu recently. Because we
like
got
Good Times with rerun, or you mean like rerun? Okay,
Good times,
like shows that we didn't watch
times.
from 2017. Like we just didn't watch these shows. Now we're watching them, and we're watching The Good Doctor right now. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
But it's all ad stuff. You can't skip the ads. You can't fast forward through the ads. You have to just sit there and take it.
You know what the worst is? When you watch like Tubi or one of those channels, and it's just one ad for a whole movie 36 times over the course of the movie, like just the same. I'm like,
I love
this is that's the only thing about those. I can
when
deal
it causes me pain, I love it. I'm like, they reached out. They found a way to kick me in the balls. I don't know how they did
This guy does a Star Wars show when he doesn't like anything that they do. He's an entertainment masochist.
Well, I figured this out, Jason. I'm not a fan of Star Wars. I'm a fan of making Star Wars, right?
That's fair.
So
he means me and my stellar personality.
Yeah. Well, who else is gonna eat $26 muffins and get high in a park? You know, like
it was $5. That's why I didn't think that was going to happen.
You got the $26 muffin.
It was traumatic.
Dramatic. So
it was. I was on top of a pyramid with the pyramid on my back, Santa. I saw some stuff. I saw reindeers and stuff. You don't even. It was crazy.
I heard you talking about it, and it gives me great joy.
It was not fun. Not fun at all. It was like a fever dream for 6 hours.
Santa wakes up hoeing like, ho, gave me great joy. Like he dreamt about it all night.
The ones that for me, when I'm like more of a hallucinatory kind of dream, it's like a fevered induced dream.
Yeah.
The world starts tipping on me. And like I'm gripping onto the bed with all my might to not fall off.
Really?
The world. Like
you just gotta pee, Santa. You just gotta stop drinking water or nog right before you go to bed, right?
But in any event, Disney owns many of these direct-to-consumer platforms, right? So they've got Disney Plus, Hulu, plus their cable networks, plus ABC, right?
Right.
Why won't we start seeing? Or I think that we will likely start seeing like season 1 of Mando show up on ABC Saturday afternoon or something like that.
Yeah.
Right. Why not? They own it, and we got these strikes going on. We have no new content coming out. Hey, I got an idea. Let's put Mandalorian season 1 on ABC this weekend and have everybody go there and watch the ads.
I got to roll here in about 10 minutes, but I gotta go see Mission Impossible again. So
you loser!
Yeah,
you're in the cold. We got to deprogram you. I don't know how we're gonna do it.
But look, Iger's already talking about subscribers in the way that they would talk about advertisers before. We got to maintain our advertisers. We got to grow we got to maintain our clients, right? And it's like he's already like that. But that's not how subscribership works. You know, because we're not getting any so advertisers get a monetary return on their investment. We're just getting like an entertainment return. We're not getting any sort of monetary. It's a one-way street. So this is like their mindset is they need advertisers. That's essentially what he's saying. He needs to make. They need the only way this works is that they bring ads into it. Guys like me will always find a way to pay for it without it. And if they don't give me that option, I'll find a way to watch it without ads because I'm not buying any of their ad stuff. I'll buy their stuff. That's just how I work. But I do recognize that the ads on some licensing or ads it's the only way that's paid for stuff for the last 100 years in TV, and that's it. Like that's how it's going to pay for the next 100 years. Like there's no consistent way around that. So like $8 a month is like every CEO now thinks if you just give them $8 a month, that'll solve all your problems. Like that's not.
Me and Santa on our shows, it does. He should become a channel member. It solves all of our problems.
At least with Santa, he's giving away hot toys. There is a return.
Oh, yeah.
I'm telling you what.
When you giving away hot toys? Huh?
I'll stop by your house and leave an upper decker. But that's all I'll do.
So just to kind of wrap up the topic, and I know, Rob, you got to jump, but we've got kind of two things going on. One is we're going to slow down new content. How's that going to affect the current slate, the current projects in in stream? We know, like, for example, in the one that we used is Skeleton Crew. It's ready to go. Like, all the filming is done. They're doing some post-prod on it, presumably, but it's going to be good to go. The other is Andor Season 2. We've got The Acolyte, Mando Season 4. Like, there are other projects been already announced. Are those just going to get
I hope so. I hope so, Santa. Let me tell you why I hope so. Because even if they're already shot and you're like, oh, Rob, doesn't matter, just edit the footage you got, run with the script you got. That's not how things are made generally. It's a iterative process at every stage are developed. And I hope they hold off, because the last time we had a strike on any level back in 2007, they rushed Heroes 2 right out the gate. You know what I mean? They rushed a lot of shows right out the gate. And it's like, you didn't win. Transformers 2 got made without a proper anything, you know?
And
look
no
at
script.
That.
They were just making it up. And
beyond that, the tone
crazy. No.
The tone was just not consistent with the previous film. Like, it just didn't have the level of polish it needed to get to anywhere.
The worst movies I've ever seen in the theater, I'd say.
Yeah, it's really bad. So like, I hope they do take the Tom Cruise route and sit on that thing until the movies are ready to come back. Right? Because like, although you may hate it, you will. Here's the thing: you can't sit there and say, "I think they should be making less things. There's too many things to watch." And then the second they say we're holding back because of a strike, you go, "But I want my stuff now." Which is it? Do you want a break or do you not want a break?
But don't want to, Rob. That is exactly what we have in this fandom, right? The complaint about the Star Wars content. Star Wars used to feel special when we only got one Star Wars every 20 years. You got really excited when it came out the movie. Now it's just too commonplace. Now, you got Disney Plus Star Wars and movies every 10 years instead of 20, whatever. And now we're going to say, well, we're going to slow down the content. What? That's a loss. Take that L, right? Like, it doesn't matter. If you have more content, it's an L. Less content, it's an L. Always a loss. That's what many of these content creators, their whole channels are built on highlighting losses and making anything into a loss. That's all they do. So that's what we're going to see as a narrative. Exactly what you're saying, right? They slow down. They're going to say, "Oh, this is the worst thing ever." But they put a movie out every 3 years. Oh, they're not taking their enough time.
Yeah, if I had to, like, if I knew that this was going to affect a pipeline for the next 3 years, let's say, right? Yeah. Let's say the strike goes on a year, that then you have to start things back up, which means you don't have to have anything out for 3 years. I immediately start to lean into other parts of our product, and that's animation and games, and to a lesser extent books, and maybe even, if possible, you might be able to get away with documentary, like editing, like documentaries together, that kind of like non-scripted. I don't know about that, but I mean, you have to have some consistency as a fan of anything, whether it's a Marvel product, a DC thing, a Pixar. If you're like, there's too much and I don't got all this time, and the minute they take a break, you're like, oh, that means they film. I don't understand what do you want? You don't want. Those are sort of like nihilists to me. I don't fully understand it. I do think there is a problem with any property thinking any whether it's Pixar or Marvel or whatever else. Like, you can't sustain 4 TV shows plus 4 movies consistently a year and expect everything to do $1 billion. There's just not enough money to go around, right? There's just not enough. Attention span isn't even. You need. That's why football doesn't run all season, right? You need a timeout. You get people a chance to step away from it. You know.
I agree with you. I think it may actually lead us to a better solution at the end of the day, because saturation can be a problem. Oversaturation. And
then what are they going to do if they put out Andor and they're like, oh, it isn't as good? Then you're going to be like, well, it was because of the strike. Like, we don't get a second chance at releasing a product. You don't get a second chance at episode 9. So you're better off just making the best movie you can make instead of trying to hit some date, because it's, how are corporate shareholders going to feel when you have a bunch of lame product no one's interested in anyway? Like, I don't.
Will Morgan nailed it right there. Put it in.
I always want the McRib, for the record. Will, you don't know what you're talking about. You sound dumb.
No, this is exactly the right model. Right? The McRib is always available, just for the record. It's always available. They just move it to different markets around the country, right? So, or regions. So McRibs,
me and you and your Winnebago thing, McRibs all year round when you retire.
That's right.
We can start franchising a Disney Hut. Or you just go in there and you can only watch Disney shit. Like,
and our rule is we don't eat until we get to the McRib section. That's how we don't get too fat. But we're gonna get fat.
Well, I'm a McDucker, so can I get the McDuck?
McDucker.
Yeah, like Disney should have a McDuck where it's just like a McRib, but it's made from duck, right? And it's
apparently Ireland's been deprived of this delicacy that has existed in the United States for decades. The folks at Ireland just don't know what's a McRib. That's terrible. You need to come over and visit, my friend. Come visit. Well, I'll tell you when the McRib is here, and come on over. We'll go get some McRib.
It's like blood sausage if it were brought to you by
McDonald's.
Yeah, by McDonald's. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, Rob, thanks for hanging out. I really appreciate you coming on the show. Thanks so much.
Peace.
All right.
So
later.
The thing is that, like, when it comes to like I said, like the fast services and all that kind of stuff, you were asking earlier, like, might they like sell this to Netflix or whatever, right? Or like lease it out, that kind of thing.
Right.
What I think what they might do, there's no sign of them doing this, but what I can see them doing is trying to get other services or channels or mediums like Netflix to pay for the production and for exclusivity on the production for a weekend, but then Disney owns it forever. Now, right. That's what Lucas was going for with HBO and Underworld and the Clone Wars. And they were like, so wait, you want us to make the Clone Wars and Underworld and we don't own it? And like, they couldn't ever come to a deal on that.
Yeah, I just don't know that that's ever going to be possible for that reason.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, no, and that's where I'm like, but that's where you could see Disney going, we're investing in our archive and letting it out. But I do think the most rational solution is that we have all of these other places to put our shows. They don't need to stay on Disney Plus. And like the only like advantage to me with Disney Plus is the fact I don't have to get up and change a disc, and the fact that like you can't buy Mandalorian.
True.
But eventually one of them is going to slip and start selling all of those Star Wars television shows and box sets because it's going to be revenue. They're just going to see it and they're just going to get greedy and go for it. Once that starts happening, then I won't need Disney Plus anymore. You know.
Well, this is the other thing. So back when we could buy physical media, that was another revenue stream, right? Now physical media almost doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And the revenue stream then has been placed on the archival service, Disney Plus, Max, whatever the case is. But even that's not fully worked out because you're not guaranteed that what's on the streaming service is actually going to be there.
Yeah,
2 years from now, right?
But why don't they sell it on Vudu and Amazon Prime and all of that, or like the other streaming services? Because if I spend $60 to own The Mandalorian season 1, they've made like half a year of Disney Plus money, pretty much. And that's Disney, and it's a Disney Plus production when you get down to it.
Hey, so we've got our friend Bespin Bulletin joined. Ooh. Thank you so much for joining, Bespin.
He says who? He's the one who sent me the link.
You.
Did you eat too many muffins again and forget what you did?
No, not this time.
Well, I'll tell you what. If they were to offer it, I think Vudu is a great idea, right? Like you can go buy the digital season and you own it. It's in your vault, your own personal vault, because you bought it.
Yeah.
If it's $60 or 50 or whatever it is, right? Maybe it's 120. I don't know.
All right, Sam.
Right?
I'm not Disney, Sam. I'm not gonna. But realistically, they could probably be like $4 an episode as well if they were out. You know, what I mean, I think people would pay $4. In fact, I think they would pay $4, but I think they would make it $5. So,
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
That's been. Are you buying seasons of The Mandalorian if they offer it on like a Vudu?
For me, like Disney Plus is different here to what it is over there. So I'm personally like fine with paying like £8 a month. I think I pay for the service, and again, like because ours in the UK is mixed in with like the Hulu and Fox content.
Yeah,
So
but what
even
happens if in 3 years they say we're taking Mandalorian season 1 off the service for 5 years? And we're going to lease it out to the
I
Sci-Fi
don't think
Channel.
But the thing is that, Bob Iger, he's seemingly a big fan of David Zaslav, as me and Jason have talked about many times. And the one thing that David Zaslav is doing is he is licensing content to other streaming services and other like things. He's doing it at the moment with Insecure, the Issa Rae show from HBO. And but it's staying on the Mac service. It's also just being like licensed out to another service. I'd imagine if given Bob Iger's appreciation for Zaslav and his methods, like he's adopted quite a few himself, I think that would be what would happen. So even if they licensed The Mandalorian to say Netflix or to Amazon Prime or something else, it would still probably be available. So I have no concern in having to buy The Mandalorian. If it came to a point where I had to, then I would. But I don't. I think if Disney were going to license content out, they would still retain it on their own service. It would just be another revenue stream for them to make money by licensing it out. Hence, also, you guys were discussing the Fast service earlier. It's just a way for them to make money off of content that vastly underperformed or that people aren't watching now. So this is another revenue stream for Disney.
Well, and we can't discard the fact that they did what I would call a test with Andor. They put Andor on a couple of their various networks, and let
They
like
put
the first couple of episodes play, and then like who knows what they decided to do after that. Maybe they decided not to continue doing it, but I think when we get to Ahsoka, we'll know. Or is it only, or do they only do that if something underperforms? You know, that's what it seemed like at first.
Well, or do they do it while everybody's on strike and they can't make new content
for various platforms?
Like it makes total sense to me that in 2024 you can watch the entire Mandalorian season 1 on ABC Family, whatever, you know. And they put it on ABC Family. They put it on ABC. They put it on Hulu. They put it on like all the different services, so they get ad revenue from old content that people will still go back and watch.
But they also still sling out. I don't know if it's because of like a previous deal, but the Star Wars films still show up on cable channels like all the time.
Exactly.
And obviously they paid good money for that. So I mean, I don't know how much they would. I don't know what a rando service would pay for Mandalorian. I have no idea what that would be.
But Disney might not want to let that out though. They probably want to be the exclusive home of that. They could let it out to ABC and other networks they own and get ad revenue for it.
Yeah, they would definitely want to. I mean, that would be like the smart thing to do and like what their goal would be. But if they end up, I don't know, doing like $100 million deal for 2 years of exclusivity on all of the Disney shows or the Mando series or whatever, then when you think about that, that starts to put that show into a very profitable, positive like place over the course of its production. So I could see that being something if they got desperate. But I'm not, for the record, I think they're so slow to respond. I don't know if they really even do anything when all is said and done. Like my current theory right now is Bob Iger's talking out his booty, and what's going to happen is they're just going to make less shows because the films are coming out. Because unless they confirm or we hear they've canceled those movies, I didn't expect there to be Star Wars shows when those movies were hitting. And that's how it kind of moves around, don't you think? In the end.
Well, you and I have had this discussion for months. Like about a month when they announced the 3 dates. I said to you at the time, I was like, there's no way they also continue to pump out 3 Star Wars shows a year or 2 Star Wars shows a year when you have 2 movies in 1 year. That's not going to happen. And you were like, they probably could still do it. I was like, they shouldn't. They shouldn't.
Yeah.
You know, like you want to build anticipation.
We were talking about like where would they do it, and I'm like, well, they're able to handle like 3 shows in SoCal. They're able to handle. They've done 3 films at one time though. At one time, you did have 3 films in various states of production at Pinewood, and then they used a little satellite, smaller studios as well. But so point being is they could do it, but yeah, after what we've heard, they're not going to do that. They're just going to be. But it sounds like I said, it sounds like maybe they're making it sound like it's one thing because they have overextended, they have overdone it, but to investors, it's going to sound like they're pulling back. And then when you hear stuff about the budgets, we keep talking about like I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but if they decrease the budgets by 20% and cut bloat by 20%, and then you get your 20% COVID bloat on top of that's 40%, then it seems like you're just really Bob Iger is just a genius who's turned the whole world around. And it's not.
I'll throw this out. I'll throw this out because I watched Katie Sackhoff interview Bryce Dallas Howard, right? Yeah. And they talked a little bit about Battlestar Galactica, and Katie said the entire budget for Battlestar Galactica was probably less than the catering budget for Mando, right? Like there's bloat that could be cut. For sure, right? It may not be as cushy on set. Could they cut 20% off without affecting quality?
Pedro Pascal ain't there. Who cares?
Maybe.
Get him Hungry Man TV dinner. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Don't do that.
But maybe. But at the same time,
by the way, Santa, I've actually been out there on certain days, and I have seen like the catering. That's one of the things that they don't hide that well, that they don't need to, and it's like a long ass table. And what they were serving smelled very good. I don't think she's joking. I don't think that's hyperbole.
Actually. Oh, really?
Yeah. Really? I think Jon Favreau is like, I like to eat, and I like to eat too. And I'm like, you gonna invite the neighbor over, Johnny? And he's not.
I can totally smell that from the garage over here.
It smells great. It smells better than this piss back here. But yeah, that smells great.
So we've been talking a lot, and you brought it up, Bespin. We've been talking about the shows on Disney Plus. Certainly those could slow down. In the ones that are already in the works, you can simply just hold the release dates, push them, instead of having like 4 shows a year, you drop it down to 2, and you pace it out differently. And we haven't even brought up the animated series like Tales of the Jedi or the Young Jedi Adventures and all the other projects that are going on. There's a lot of content coming out around Star Wars on these services. You slow all of that down. Bad Batch season 3, all of that. You can make. I
think Bad Batch ends with the next season now.
Well,
I don't think those Jedi Adventure shows. I think those are dead.
Young Jedi Adventures, that's going to make money. As a moneymaker. Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. You wait and see. You compare it to Paw Patrol or those series, it stands up very well.
But I don't see kids wearing. I see kids wearing Paw Patrol. I don't see kids wearing Young Jedi. I've never seen a Young Jedi Adventure shirt in the wild, and I have children that go to school and karate and everything.
Yeah.
It's not.
Give it time. It's only been out for like 2 months.
Yeah, I hope I'm wrong for them.
But anyhow, the movies we bring up the point that Bespin just said about those original dates that they gave. I think all of it, the calendar for releases across all the platforms, is just from the announcement that we got from Iger, I think that calendar is gone. Any remnants of it are only what exists in the near future. Everything past that is going to be a completely open-ended. All bets are off. I just don't see it happening.
My thing is like that release schedule, that release calendar only came out last month. Like it came out in June. My personal opinion is that anything Bob Iger is talking about now, we won't see the come to fruition for like another 2 years because of the things already in development, already filmed and whatever else. So I think next year they'll pad out Disney Plus with their shows as planned. So whether it be Andor and Acolyte and the 3 Marvel shows they already have in the can, ready to go. It's the effects of this currently will be later on. But for months when we've talked about the writer's strike, me and Jason have always said that Disney Plus specifically is in a better position than most other streaming services in how far advanced they've shot a lot of these shows, these big tentpole shows as well. They're not just the smaller things like a Jeff Goldblum show or something. These are cornerstones of Disney Plus. And so we won't see the effects of the changes and the scaling back for a couple of years in terms of Disney Plus. But in terms of the movies, I think currently they still are committed to that, because even though Iger's only now come out and spoke himself, that was just off of the back of the announcement of a contract extension. And he isn't going to come out and do an interview just randomly. He's going to do it because of the contract extension and for the shareholders and the business side of it. But the decision to release the 3 Star Wars films as they currently have planned it was a long in development thing. And I think it is fluid, hence why they didn't say which movie is which date. But I think the current plan would be to still release those. But I think when he's talking about scaling back on budgets, those are certain movies that will likely be affected by it. They're not going to give $300 million to the Rey movie or the Mandalorian movie. Like, they will look to cut costs and stably finance those films in relation to what they expect those films to make. And it was around the time of Celebration with the Hollywood Reporter put out an article, and they said that Disney specifically weren't looking to take risks with the first couple of Star Wars films that are being released. Hence why they chose those to be the Rey one and the Filoni one. Even though Disney haven't confirmed themselves, those are the 2 we know through reliable reports, whether it be Jeff Snyder and the trades, that is the plan. That those are the movies set to come out first. I think those movies aren't in flux in the way of, they're scaling back on Star Wars and they're cutting budgets. I don't think they're in flux for that. I think they're in flux and fluid because we don't know how development's going to go in each of these projects. Like, the writer's strike is going to go on, according to the report from Deadline, until at least October, which means Stephen Knight, he's probably never turned in a first draft.
Stephen Knight's going to be retired by the time the strike's over.
Yeah,
go ahead.
So you look at something like that, right? And they've always kept Taika on the line, and Taika is supposedly just needs a 3rd act, roughly. He was hoping to shoot it next year, but obviously that's going to not happen. And then there's also other things in development. Like Sean Levy said, once he's done with Deadpool, he will start working his movie.
Right. Well, so to Brandon's point, he said he's afraid none of the 3 movies, these 3 that we're talking about, will happen. I think for sure 2 of them will. Absolutely, Filoni's movie is happening, and I think at this point, absolutely, the Rey movie is happening. There's
a difference, Brandon, and sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, dude.
No, I think the 3rd movie is maybe on the bubble, but to me, I would if I had to put $1 on it, I'd say I'd put $1 that it would be made. The others, when you start to get out into the Ryan Johnson trilogy, no, probably not happening. Patty Jenkins' movie, probably never happening.
The first Taika's, 2 are like Rogue One. So the first 2 films that are coming out are like Rogue One. They're developed internally by Lucasfilm from what's essentially a Lucasfilm idea and concept to be extrapolated upon by hired talent. Mangold, Rogue Squadron with Patty Jenkins, the Ryan Johnson films, those are based in auteur theory thinking, where they came in, they brought their idea, their vision with their direction, and then when something goes wacky with them, then it all falls apart there.
Yeah.
They either get success or whatever, bad stuff, whatever happens to be, that's when it falls apart. So the difference is if like Charmin Obaid-Chinoy, starts trying to like wrestle Kathleen Kennedy, they just fire her and then they bring in somebody else and it just goes on. But if Mangold tries to wrestle Kathleen Kennedy, they fire him and then they don't make that movie.
Right.
That's like a big difference. So 2 out of 3 of those movies will definitely happen. And I'm of the opinion that only the Mangold one actually sounds truly like something new. You know what I mean? And exciting. But,
I agree. Yeah, the Mangold one seems like the most exciting and the most original take out of the bunch. But it is also the most questionable in relation to will it actually happen.
Yeah.
And again, they've got 2 other movies at least. You know, Taika and Sean Levy's movie that could replace it. It's so far out that it could be replaced if they decide not to go with Mangold's movie, or he, you know, they don't tie them down to first priority deals. Like, look what happened with Patty, and look what happened with, you know, like just actors as well. If Mangold decides there's another project he wants to pursue more than the Star Wars thing, then he will. You know, like it could just be that Mangold's priorities go elsewhere. You know, that it doesn't all just rely on Lucasfilm, but especially in relation to that May 2026 date, there was a thing that Jason said last year and was saying it for quite a while, and then it was later followed up by Jeff Snyder. That movie's going to happen. It has to happen for Kathleen Kennedy's job, essentially. Like Jason was saying, it was hell or high water.
Yeah.
And Snyder was saying her job is on the line to get that produced, to get that made.
And Hell or High Water happened, so now it's just a few months back.
So we talked about the pacing of it, and there's lots of debate amongst the community itself if the Kenobi show was good, or if the Book of Boba Fett was good, or Andor was good. You know, a lot of people complain about the bricks and screws in Andor, like all kinds of things that people liked and didn't like. But we got 22 Emmy nominations, which would say that the quality, at least by some means, is viewed positively.
Or they just bought the Emmy nominations, which is kind of how it works. So,
or that
they campaigned for it. I mean, if they didn't campaign for stuff, I'd be like, oh, it's all organic and, you know, it's all merit-based stuff, but it's campaign-based stuff. So,
and campaigning has to stop on the side of the actors now as well, by the way.
It does, yeah.
So they're not going to be doing the junkets, right?
There's whole film
press tours,
festivals that are like, they hinge on Zendaya showing up, and they ain't happening.
Well, they even last night at the premiere, they just walked in the middle of it, right? So there's all kinds of stuff like that. But it's this good press. At the end of the day, it's good press. Is it going to be worth the investment to get it? These nominations, who knows? But it's still good press. And 22 Emmy nominations is nothing to slough at. So that's great. That's great. Yeah, Sam calling it. Kathleen gets a 2-year contract extension. I think that's absolutely possible, especially right after the heels of Iger.
Well,
why would they go set up movies until 2029 with somebody who's not going to be there? That's not how this works.
Here, contract ends this year, right? At the end of this year,
it ends in 2024. I thought.
You would need to extend the contract anyway for 2 years.
Yeah,
like just to get obviously that movie's released,
just to get the first films. I think she's. My opinion is she's there until the first film. And if that first film is an Indiana Jones style thing, then they will not be extending the contract. Is how it'll go, and she'll be like, "It's time for me to move on," and blah 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 blah. But it's not going to be like I always say. It's not going to be like I don't believe it's going to be an overnight. We just decided to come her like she was Chapek. She's not. No. She's not. Her power isn't like how Chapek's was. It's a different
it'll be when she leaves. It'll be on her terms, even if it wasn't on her terms. Right? Yeah, like that's how it'll come across. Everything will be on her terms, and she's earned it, in my opinion. I know that she is used as a scapegoat amongst the fandom, and there's all kinds of make-believe stories out there.
Her decisions to not put Anakin Skywalker in the thing I wanted Anakin in. It's like that's not actually what she does, man. Just saying, that's not what she does. It's weird. It's a weird, dumb understanding of the company and production all at the same time.
Right. There's a lot of discussion that says, well, this is a Kathleen project and this is a Dave project.
It's a Kathleen Kennedy vanity project. It's like, what? She doesn't even make anything.
Right. So the shows they like, those are Dave and John. The ones that they didn't like that Dave or John did, is because Kathleen interfered, and the ones that are never going to make it to the light of day are Kathleen's projects, like Acolyte. Acolyte is continuing to get that kind of reporting that it's never going to happen.
You would think that we were having like Lena Dunham directing Star Wars with how these people talk. Like it's silly.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing is we just talk about that for a moment. I do want to get into the content of Star Wars. Been waiting to do that. Excited to do that. But the deal is if and when Kathleen Kennedy leaves Lucasfilm, and I said this last week, I'll keep saying it over and over again. She's not going to be replaced by who you think she is. It's not going to be, your favorite player on the team is all of a sudden going to be the coach. That's not how it works.
Dave Filoni's going to take over.
The quarterback isn't the head coach all of a sudden.
Going to make Clone Wars season 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, Rebels part 2, part 3, part 4. And it's going to be all Dave Filoni vanity projects.
Right.
But
it's just not that way. It's just not that way, right? It's just that they'll hire another coach. They're not going to elevate.
Realistically, when that time comes, it's going to be it might actually just be a lot worse. We might go into a really, really bad time period with somebody who just doesn't understand it and get it. Like the one thing about Kennedy has always been the fact that she knows George personally. He's made movies with George and Steven for years. There's a little bit of I understand where this is coming from, even though I have to figure out how to make it.
Right.
But to go back to the first part of the show where we're talking about the thing that is commendable about Lucasfilm is that they've never tried to go and reskin Mission Impossible into Star Wars. Let's just make Star Wars Mission Impossible. Let's just make Star Wars Transformers. Let's just make Star Wars Top Gun. They've always tried to make Star Wars movies, though. They've tried to crack the code about what a Star Wars film is in that genre. Now, if they have or they haven't, I don't know. I think it's commendable that they tried to, as opposed to just being here's Star Wars Fast and the Furious. Vin Diesel is a Jedi on the run. You know?
I have an idea for a Star Wars Fast and Furious sort of series. I've written it in my mind, just like James Mangold.
Okay.
And,
we're striking, bud. We're striking.
It's called Pit Crew. Star Wars Pit Crew.
Pit Crew.
And it's a lot about pod racing and I've got it. I've got it cooking. So send Buggy Man to my door and I'll go to Lucasfilm with him.
I think real Ben Maynard, I agree with you. She gets a lot of unfair press, but she also sometimes doesn't get fair blame where blame is due by her defenders, right? There are people who will defend her every motion, and I think at some point the buck needs to stop here somewhere, and you have to be fair in how you treat the wins and the losses. You can't attribute every loss to her and every win to John. You can't associate every loss to Disney and every win to Kathleen. That's not how it works. So you do need to be fair in it.
I'm a big Lucasfilm fan, and this year they murdered Willow, and they did Indiana Jones stupid in a lot of ways. I know it's a little armchair now because I had no idea what it would make. But they messed up Indiana Jones. I believe that the big thing, the big problem, it was always that they just didn't know work. There was no video game that let kids know who Indiana Jones is and why they should care about him, and stuff that's very obvious that they were doing with Star Wars for years. And so, and I'm also of the opinion now that Lucasfilm should just do Star Wars. And if they ever do more Indiana Jones, Lucasfilm doesn't need to do it because there's absolutely no reason that they do at this point.
I think the best chance people have, is to have Kathleen mentor John a while longer, and then John steps up to be the creative head of Lucasfilm. That's your best chance, and that's the closest you're going to get.
But here's the other thing: is
chance with John than you will with Dave. 100%.
Yeah.
But do we want a creative head? Or do we just want a head who that's the big question? Because when I think of once you get into a creative head, then now you have their actual passions and their tendencies to identify what is Star Wars as this one thing. So if they don't like episode 2 then you never will see anything from the Clone Wars ever. You know what I mean? That kind of
Right. No,
stuff.
I 100% agree with you.
It's weird.
Jason. I mean, 100%.
There's no right answer though, right?
But
we have
that's
right
what
now.
people want. They want the John what's his name?
Filoni? Favreau?
No. My brain, Feige. They want the Kevin Feige of Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
And that's what they have in their brain. And a lot of them think that that's Kathleen, that she's the Kevin Feige of Star Wars.
Yeah.
And Kathleen is not the Kevin Feige of Star Wars. She's not a creative head. She's the executive officer. She approves budgets, like I were saying. You know, the healthcare plan and the licensing and the budgets and on and on and on. There's a lot of things that she manages that is not creative. She's not sitting in a creative room deciding what the name of a character is going to be or the plot line of a show. She's getting consulted on those things and so that they get greenlit. But that's what they have in their noggin, right? And if in your noggin is a Kevin Feige, the best chance you have is Jon Favreau. But I don't think that that's necessarily the best answer. And you look at what's going on with Marvel right now, in the content that's coming out right now, and it's exactly what you said, Jason. If you don't like it, it's too bad. Too bad, because that's what it is, right? Kevin Feige's the creative head. He's just going to create more of Kevin Feige content.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean,
what do you expect?
Yeah.
I do want to change topics a little bit, and I brought up Bespin's article here on the Emmy nominations. I think that's great. It's absolutely fantastic. We'll actually see how many they win. Yeah, we'll probably get a handful out of there, which is great. Hopefully all of them get some wins. But there's this trailer that came out. I want to talk about the content. I'm dying to talk about the content. The Ahsoka trailer. And we got this dude's name. And there's been some translation of the name being done lately, right? It comes up as, it translates roughly as werewolf.
Yeah, when I did this article, I put a bit of research into it, and the name is from an Arthurian legend about a knight who is also thought to be a werewolf. That is where the name comes from. Obviously, Dave's used the name previously for Embo and Marok in the Clone Wars. It's inspired by Snake Eyes, it seems, and obviously you can see that in his design. And I know Jason is just captivated by the story.
Yeah. Snake Eyes named a dog Barak.
We know that Dave likes wolves, right? Trapper wolf and all of that, right? Werewolf fits in with Dave's kind of passion anyway, and it might not be anything more than that. Might mean I like wolves. We need Felonious. Yeah. Where's Felonious when we need him? Right? Like, I just like wolves.
I like doggy style.
It might just be that straightforward, right? So
I think it is that. Yeah. Like, the idea of a knight who is also a werewolf is probably the coolest thing. He probably thinks that's so cool, and when he can put him in a character that looks like Snake Eyes from G.I. Joe, which, again, like Jason has talked about a character called Enoch for months, who he said would resemble a G.I. Joe character called Destro, and again, that seems to be like a G.I. Joe influence in some of their character designs. Another one, in addition to this Snake Eyes looking fella. So I think to Dave, a Snake Eyes looking character who's also named after a knight/werewolf is so cool. Right. I think he thinks this is one of the coolest things he's ever made.
I agree with you. A lot of people thinking that that'll actually be the characteristics of the Inquisitor. I wouldn't go that far. Right? It could just be that surface level. Could be that shallow.
It could just be surface level. It likely is, yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is just a character who can die. Is my takeaway on him.
Well, obviously, yes.
I mean, because obviously we lost Stevenson, but it's like when you get down to it, they're trying to build into like a bigger, larger narrative that was going to lead up to a film and stuff. So you wouldn't go off killing your really cool new villains for the show right away. And this guy right here is just, yeah. I'm not a fan of him, honestly.
You don't have to be.
The design doesn't really read very well.
What do you mean?
Like if I I can see like the silhouette of Darth Maul, and I can just I know that's Darth Maul. I see this guy right here, and it just like if you go up to him,
Yeah.
I mean it's what I mean. If you had to describe that in 1 second, what's the defining thing about it? Oh, he has an old timey knight looking helmet, maybe. It's just I don't know. I feel like it's underdesigned, and I think it's underdesigned because he's gonna die real quick.
He looks Inquisitor-ish. I mean, he looks like an Inquisitor.
But he doesn't look as good as the what was the one in Fallen Order? Like that chick looks cool. Like that mask is cool.
Trilla?
What was it?
Trilla.
Yeah, Trilla. Like Trilla's a good costume that reads. This one right here, if you ask me, honestly, I've looked at this picture. I don't know what I'm looking at in that picture. It looks like just crap to me.
Looks like an Inquisitor.
No.
Yes.
I agree with that. It looks like it's like a pretty standard Inquisitor.
It doesn't read. It doesn't read.
It looks like a generic Inquisitor.
Yeah. Generic is the word, and not in a good way.
Inquisitor. It's all it has to be.
If I took that spinny lightsaber away from it right now, and I told you, is this Star Wars or from Bill and Ted? You'd be like, I don't know.
Well,
not in a good way.
Is it an Inquisitor? Is it a Knight of Ren? If you took the spinny saber away,
even the Knights of Ren guys are a bit more better designed. I don't know. Like I said, it just it doesn't feel. I don't know, man.
He looks fine to me.
It doesn't matter. But that's the whole thing. Is it doesn't matter,
right?
Because he's just going to be a dog, a wolf, chasing down the bad guys or the good guys for a while until they kill him.
He's a red shirt. They put it really well, right? He's a red shirt. He's going to totally die. That's just fine. He's allowed to die. I'm okay with that.
No, I am too. It's just like that was my thing with the article. Everybody was like, Bespin was like, "Oh, you're really not into this one." I'm like, "Nah, his name we won't remember who this character is in a year.
It's fun.
In a year, I'm gonna be like, what was his name? Doggy dog, Dogosaur, werewolf,
teenage werewolf. No, I don't know. The trailer though, the trailer has a lot of folks excited. There's a lot of great takeaways from it, and you did a deep dive on it. I did a deep dive on it. There's a lot of misdirection in here. And just a little bit of a heads up, if anybody doesn't want any spoilers at all, 0, well, you're on the wrong show, because I've got Jason Ward and Bespin Bulletin right here. So it's like, direct to sources. So if you don't want none of spoilers, well, I really appreciate you guys hanging out with us for over an hour. But
Ahsoka dies.
Now you're
Ahsoka lives.
Yeah, now's the time you probably want to go ahead and just leave a like, do the things, and get on out. But if you don't mind some spoilers, we're not going to go like intentionally into spoiler town, but there's going to be some discussion that could spoil some things. Okay.
There was one thing about that werewolf I wanted to mention.
Yeah.
Now that we're in spoiler town, no, the idea of the werewolf. I don't know anything about that guy, so I don't have anything to like actually spoil on that or whatever. But when we have we're hearing rumors of undead stormtroopers that like are reanimated with hexes, and then we have undead stormtroopers essentially. We have a witch / witches who are doing that. Is this guy being a werewolf in some ways maybe off the table? I mean, I'm just throwing that out there. When you got zombies and witches, werewolf's not necessarily at that point moving away too far away from everything. So I don't think there's no evidence that he's a werewolf, but it's worth mentioning.
There's something about it though with that Inquisitor. It looks as if he's going to be in the show fairly early on when you see him in the industrial area. And then later on, you see him face to face with Ahsoka in the forest, which looks like Sabine is also fighting Shin. So that's later in the journey, as you can tell from Sabine's hairstyle.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I wonder if that is the planet where maybe Thrawn and some of these characters are located. The Nodian Highlands, I think, is what you called it at the time.
Yes.
If they use the magic to reanimate the guy, he might not turn into a werewolf, but he might just be reanimated. So you were complaining about his design, and it's like boring and generic. If he had that same design, but he had like some of the gold or the red that like some of the stormtroopers have that's coming out, like that will make his design far more appealing, and would be a reoccurring problem for our heroes.
Well, and I think
like,
you bring up
theory,
a fun idea in the sense that maybe all the Inquisitors were dead, and they brought him back.
Oh no, that's not true. But anyway, maybe this one.
Whoa! That is not. So they're going to go to Thrawn and resurrect his stormtrooper army, but they don't do it at home ever. They don't go find an Inquisitor and then be like, "Look, the magic works. Look, I can do this." And
maybe.
If I had the power, I wouldn't be doing it on stormtroopers though. I'd be going finding Inquisitors and like my Darth Mauls.
We don't know. But, like you even said this yourself, right? You didn't say it was Morgan Elsbeth. That is the one that reanimated the stormtrooper.
No, I know. I know I heard Night Sisters. Tie these things to them that brings them back up. So Morgan might not know it. That's true.
Yeah, so it might be that this can only happen on that planet, really.
Yeah,
and this one Inquisitor who's there, like he's gonna get that treatment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
possible.
Yeah, maybe. I think that there's been a lot of discussion about Baylan and Shin. The orange lightsabers, the Padawan braid, all of that, and this Inquisitor, all of them seem to have an alliance to Thrawn. The Inquisitor, not so sure, but we know Morgan Elsbeth does. We know that Baylan and Shin, or we believe that Baylan and Shin, and the trailer gives us a big hint that they are definitely.
Well, on Baylan and Shin mercenaries, wasn't that a quote that came out that they were hired for this?
Yeah. It comes out that they were hired mercs, and then in the trailer you have Shin saying, "What's going to happen when we find Thrawn?" And then he says, like, "Unimaginable power." So, right. So it definitely there's definitely a mercenary side, but there's definitely and then we go into permanent business together kind of aspect to it at the same time. It sounds like.
So there's some things that we through your reporting, both of you, there's some things that we are expecting to see, some flashback scenes, for example.
Mm-hmm.
The closest thing we hear is when Ahsoka's facing off with Shin or Baylan. Ahsoka's facing off with Baylan in this place, or a place similar to this. You can kind of hear Vader's breathing in the background, right? Yeah. It's pretty obvious in the audio. Do you think that's true to the audio of that clip, or is that an audio overlay? Just
a trailer. Yeah, I think that might. My takeaway right now is that's just for the trailer. But
because the implication, if it is Vader's voice, is that there is a World Between Worlds portal like next to them, like right there, that they can hear the action through.
Like some of the stuff that we heard that was like shot for things like that was like this concept of like Obi-Wan is dead and now and Ahsoka's the one who has to go to Mustafar, like what would have happened as opposed to what has happened and stuff like that, right? And so when you hear that, it doesn't mean it's like I love you, Arya, but Arya is always like that scene's like really long, right? And like they have all this dialogue, and I'm like, for all I know, Arya, he walks by, she looks out a window and she sees this horror story about what would have happened, and it's 5 seconds, and then she continues on down the hallway. Like I don't know how they're gonna insert that into an edit or any of that stuff. I just know they filmed that.
Yeah, they could have filmed for a day, but it could only be for 30 seconds. Like it doesn't need to be anything substantial.
And there might be 15 of those. She might walk past 15 of those, and there might be different versions of it. And like, who knows, like what it's going to go a little Alice in Wonderland-y at a time, I guess. And so it's kind of hard to make tells of that fantasy realm.
we do know that Hayden is in this. Like the trades did report it. Rosario self-shaded it before realizing the error that she made.
Yeah.
You know, we know he's in this. You know, even when anybody asks Hayden, he's always got a massive grin on his face and denies it. And he's in it.
I did not do it.
And we also know as well from reported from Jason as well that there were scenes filmed with Vader. So even though there was a Vader, you can hear him breathing in the trailer. You will hear that breathing likely at some point. It's just not necessarily in that scene.
Yeah.
Like you will hear a Vader scene.
Yeah, and like the question I have right now too is like, you know how like they redid the little postscript to Rebels, like they filmed like the stuff that we got from that. And I don't know if they did the Jason Syndulla one or not. For the record, I have no idea. Maybe they did. Maybe that's why we have the Lego figure. But when we get down to it, do we have the drama that leads into those moments before and after, or do we just have this really big like here's the story so far in a live action style flashback kind of thing where with Ezra and stuff like that, where we see all of that stuff? So if you didn't watch Rebels, and if that's the case, then Hayden in the Vader suit with the mask cracked would clearly be a callback to season 2 of Rebels, and you would need to show that for Ahsoka's like arc. So it might be that, and then like we might think, oh that was it. Well, we got it, and then we get a surprise later. Like that may be the organization of the show, but that's conjecture.
Right, and yeah, Thrawn did take part of the Lothal Temple and have it reconstructed in the Chimera. That is part of it, and could we see that?
No, the answer is no, Santa. We could not see that. And let me tell you why.
Oops. Something happened. I was there and I was gone. Are we back?
Yeah, you're back. You're back.
Okay. Yeah, so, I mean, might they be able to get some sort of view to the Chimera from the World Between Worlds because that portal is there? I don't know. I really don't know that that'll come into play. Because then there's a lot more explanation that has to be done too. And I think you just leave it. If she goes to the World Between Worlds portal, which we believe she will at some point, it'd be walking past these, looking to see if she can get any clue to where Ezra is.
You know what just occurred to me right now is like Lucasfilm tends to like have like an idea, and then that idea gets like spitballed into 3 different variants of the same idea.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, could this show could Thrawn be doing an Indiana Jones 5? Could Thrawn be trying to use the World Between Worlds sort of concept and the stuff that is dealt with in to do a Voller, kill Hitler, and then put him on the right track? If we see that plot point, I'm like, Lucasfilm just always reuses a ton of stuff in there. If that happens, happens, you know what I mean? Like,
I really hope it doesn't happen. I'm thinking,
me too. I don't want it to happen, but I'm just like, Like, and of course, it would always have a different spin. There would be a slightly different take on the concept. Like in this one, it would probably be to save Palpatine.
The actress from House of Dragons is Ahsoka. What episodes will we see? I don't think we know. Like, is there any clue?
Was that even credible?
It didn't come from anybody.
Because I never heard that at all. Like on my end,
there was a report from. I think one of you mentioned that there was a younger Ahsoka.
Yeah,
without
another younger Ahsoka, but we don't know the actress.
And when and that was for the who goes to confront Anakin when Obi-Wan's now been killed, and you didn't leave Ahsoka, so now you have to do it, Ahsoka. In this, that isn't. I think that is either Rosario aged down or a younger actor. I think it was a younger actor, but I don't know who it is. Yeah. So
there's always a chance. Well, it could be a younger actor, which is then later deepfake to be a younger Rosario.
Yeah, but let me twist the question and ask. Well, you guys made me think of something. It's very possible in the World Between Worlds scenes that all of that's more or less CG through a window, and it doesn't have to look as real. But
it doesn't look like the Flash.
Neither. Right. It'd
Flash
be like the
babies
Flash.
just falling.
Yeah. No. Let me ask the question differently. do we know what episodes the World Between Worlds will come into play? The first 4, the last 4, somewhere in the middle? Do you have any idea when those episodes would fit into the story?
I think it would be the first 4. The reason, yeah, I would say it's definitely the first 4 because that stuff is before they go to the new places, to the new part. It's before the journey to get Thrawn and Ezra is put into effect. That's when that stuff seems to happen.
It could be throughout as well. It could be that she.
It could be, yeah. It definitely could be. But like the stuff we saw in the trailer this week,
yeah,
of Balin and doing his little Count Dooku moment with her and all that. Don't I look like a big Dooku?
Within the first 2 episodes as well, like that.
Yeah, no, that stuff is definitely in the first 4. I don't know how far into the 4. It could be the first episode for all I know. But I'm just saying that stuff is definitely because what they're getting in that scene is the map. That's where they're getting the way to chart to get Thrawn. That's what's happening in those moments.
So if they're going in there to get the map, right? Mm-hmm. You know when you see Balin and Shin attacking that Resistance cruiser?
Yes.
They're likely breaking out Elsbeth.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Correct.
So by that logic, they would need to go get the map first because then we later see them with Elsbeth with the map, right?
Yeah.
So get the map, get Elsbeth, and then go to this other shrine area that they're in.
Or it could be break out Elsbeth. She tells them where to go get the map, and then they go get the map too. I mean, it's
or she already has it. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Where to go to get it?
Like you say, she already knows where it is. Hey, it's in my locker at the gym. Go pick it up. Right?
Yeah.
So
because that I was gonna say that now makes me think that we had at some point theorized that the second the episode which Ahsoka is in the second season of The Mandalorian will take place sort of during this, like within the first 4 episodes in the early part of the series. I'm now thinking that won't be the case because if she's in the custody of the New Republic, it's a good chance that she was arrested following the conflict with Ahsoka.
Yeah.
And Sabine, Natasha, she did say that this takes place roughly around the same time as The Mandalorian season 3. Mm-hmm. So maybe the earlier part is between 2 and 3, and then the latter half is coinciding with Mando 3.
Yeah. Like the only thing I have heard like from concrete sources is that there's you could split the season into 2, and like this is an earlier era and this is like a slightly later era.
Yeah, that's I want to we're past an hour and a half. I do want to talk about Thrawn. It's an important part of the show. And who is Thrawn? What am I expecting to see? What's his
Twitter blue?
What's his character? Twitter blue.
Disruption.
Hilarious. There are different thoughts about who his core character is in this series that I've been reviewing. The 2017 Thrawn novel, 2018 Thrawn Alliances. They happened just before and just after season 3 of Rebels. And Timothy Zahn had the scripts for Rebels when he was writing the books. So this is done in collaboration. It's not like they were done in a silo away from one another. Mm-hmm. So when you see Thrawn in season 3 of Rebels, the books support that Thrawn that you see. But I think if you watch the season without any other context, you may have a misinterpretation of who that Thrawn is. For example, at the very beginning of season 3, they talk about this battle that took place and that more civilians were killed than the military. You read the book and you find out that it was Governor Price that killed the civilians, but Thrawn ended up taking the blame. He didn't kill them. He had nothing to do with it. In fact, he got very, very angry that it
sounds
happened.
like the blue washing of history to me.
That it happened against his will. It made him very angry, and he tried to take Arinda down as part of that, but she worked out a deal with him. So he was going to hold her accountable for those deaths, and Arinda Price came back and said, "I'll make you a deal."
that all of the I think all of this is just going to contradict because you need a big bad, and that's what he of the era and for the film and stuff like that. And if he's really just a good guy doing the right thing for the right reasons and all that, like it's not going to play into that black and white Dave Filoni Star Wars mythos that he always has done. Except for Anakin, but
some of the great villains are villains who believe they are right, that they aren't doing
it. And he will. No, I agree with you guys there. He will think he's doing things right, but will they give us Thrawn motivation?
Well, that's the thing, and that's what I don't know. Like that's why I brought up the season 3 of Rebels. If you just watch season 3 of Rebels, Timothy Zahn wrote the books with that in mind, right? Like he was reading those scripts, and the books play perfectly into and out of that season. These two books are bookends to that season.
So Zahn's going to go write a book where he's like, actually, Thrawn didn't want to just do all the bad stuff. He wanted to do some good stuff too.
Well, like, he's trying to defend the lives of the people by not letting the Grisks come in and wipe everybody out. So he's trying to build strength. And I think the motivation has to be, especially as we start to look at the New Republic and Mon Mothma are trying to demilitarize. And in the books, Thrawn is saying we need the strongest military we can have. We need to be reinforced at maximum strength to be able to confront this. And so he's going to want to reverse all the things that Mon Mothma is doing. All of the little fiefdoms that are breaking up the remnants of the Empire, he's going to want to pull back together because we need a super strong military that can confront this. It doesn't have to be in the same mold as the Emperor's empire, but he needs an empire to exist in full strength so that the Grisks can be encountered. And I want to show you guys another quote from the book. Let me get it here ready because it's absolutely fantastic. And let me put this on the screen for you all. And this is shared when you get the Kindle books. They show you where a bunch of people highlighted the same quote, and this has over 800 highlights of the same quote. It says, "The Grand Admiral was smart and subtle, but he never used his brilliance to show up or humiliate anyone. He demanded results, but never perfection. He had amazing stories of patience for those who were truly working their fullest ability. He cared about his people to the point of standing up for them, even against the disapproval of powerful men like Lord Vader."
I like Vader style better. Just choke him out.
So he cares about his people. He's not throwing people under the bus when they fail. He will hold them accountable, but he's not necessarily throwing them under the bus to put himself in a better condition.
In the very first scene of the show, we're going to see somebody fail and him shoot him. Watch.
That'll make me angry. That'll make me angry. But he truly wants to protect the lives of the people, both the Chiss Ascendancy and the people who are in what we know as like the New Republic, by confronting the Grisk strength versus strength. And demilitarizing is not the answer. So how do you end up with a bad guy Thrawn? To both your points, it's the guy who thinks he's doing good, but he's the opposition of the good guys.
So does it just go? Does it just go political in terms of like how they handle it, in the sense that like, oh, he's just an imperialist at the end of the day, like for the show, like because the show isn't going to go, oh, let me tell you about the Grisk. They're not in the show, but let me tell you about. They're not going to. I don't think they're going to do that. I would bet
think
against
he's
them.
saying there's a greater threat out there that is going to kill everybody. It's going to kill everybody.
So if he says that,
yes,
Santa, that has to be the film. Do you believe that the film is the Grisk?
Yes,
because if they do that, they are promising that that's what and everybody watches for the film. But I feel like they are setting up a Republic versus the heir to the Empire.
Yeah, I don't even think it's Republic necessarily versus the Empire. I don't think they're in the position to. I think it's
our
Avengers essentially against Thrawn and his his
our
army.
Rangers of the New Republic. That's what
I hope it's not called that. By the way,
that's what
I think you've got multiple factions. You've got Mandalorians, New Republic, remnants of the Empire with different Moffs, like Moff Gideon, who have their own troops, and we saw the
Moffers.
Yeah, we saw the meeting of Moffs right in Mandalorian season 3, and they're not exactly cooperating with one another fully, right? So
I think like Thrawn coming back though is the thing that's going to drive them together and work under him as a cohesive unit.
He's going to force it, and then
you'll force it,
right? And so that will make him. He is a force that's coming against the will of others, right? So that he'll make them the antagonist of the show for sure, including Mon Mothma and the New Republic. They say, you guys are dumb. You guys are going to get killed. You are going to come into the Empire, whether you like it or not, because you have to. And that puts him in opposition to our good guys, the people who want the New Republic to grow and succeed. So he may find himself in absolute opposition. He is the bad guy, but he's got a bigger plan in mind. And I do think we're going to hear him say, we have to do this to save the lives of. And the reason I say that is because these books lead right into him getting purgled out. And in these books, the Grisk are coming into Empire space. They've already planted themselves in the Empire, and that's what he was battling when he got purgled out. He's very much aware of it. He's very cognizant of it, and when he comes back, he's going to want to go confront it, especially with the absence of the Emperor, who was sort of holding him back from taking the entire fleet and going to attack the Grisk. The Emperor's like, it's not important to me. You'll do what I want, right? So I think that'll come later. Now he's not there, and that's going to be the threat. I totally believe that. At least that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, the thing we've noticed with Lucasfilm as well, though, like when it comes to the books, they will sideline it if it doesn't need to happen in the movies. So if they've set up that, and again, it's been a long time since that, and like a lot of casual fans aren't aware of the books and the events
or Rebels.
Even Rebels, so they could just set up that this is the villain, this is the bad guy, because also Dave and John have also previously teased that you will see the birth of the First Order throughout the Mandalorian universe.
Yeah.
So once the threat of Thrawn goes, I don't think they'll be introducing the Grist. I think it'll be right now we need to start building towards the First Order rather than anything else.
Remember the Timothy Zahn quote? He's like, there's 9 years of stories for me to tell.
Yeah.
And that stuff. Well,
it could be there.
The Grist, that's where that, if I were just betting with no opinion about what I want or anything like that, that's where it would go. I also don't think you necessarily introduce huge threats in the books and then wrap them up in a TV show. I think that would leave your book audience highly unsatisfied. And so it's a bit of it's complicated how you would handle that.
It is. I think it can be well done though. If he says there's a bigger threat out there, you don't see them, but there's the threat of a bigger threat, right? Whether you believe him or not, and he comes in to bring everybody under his control because he has to build up the strength of the military. The movie could set up or get us set up to where he goes and chases them away. The First Order's there, and you end up with that's how the First Order comes into power, is because Thrawn takes his toys and chases the Grisk. Here you go, First Order.
Yeah.
So they definitely would have some work to do to present it, but then it would set up perfectly for Zahn to continue the stories after Thrawn chases him back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have to go. I can't thank you guys enough.
Is there a Mike Porter dad joke?
We have a Mike Porter dad joke. Thank you for reminding me.
I can't let that go.
Oh, no. Why didn't a lot of people spend a lot of time with this one particular Star Wars rebel? Why didn't people spend a lot of time with one of the rebels? Well, because a little Zeb will do you.
I don't get it. But...
A little dab will do you. Right?
Oh, okay.
A little Zeb will do you.
I was thinking this little Zeb was doing something else to me, so I hope he doesn't.
I love Mike Porter. So thankful for him being here. And thank you both. You've made this a wonderful show, and I appreciate your time. All right.
No, thanks to Rob.
No, Rob was great. The super chat, that $50 super chat was absolutely amazing. It does a lot to help the channel. And you guys,
someone's getting Applebee's tonight.
You should absolutely be supporting Bespin Bulletin on Patreon. You can get his stories without all those ads in them. If there's just $5 a month, that's dirt cheap. People said, "Oh, Santa, you're giving away like $800 in hot toys. What's Bespin and what's Jason giving away?" They give us all these stories. They give us every show that we've had is because the stories we get from folks like Jason and Bespin, and they're absolutely critical to this franchise and to this community. And you guys should be supporting them on Patreon, both of them. It's really easy. Go to Patreon, look them up, give them money. The end.
Do it.
That's how
I
you
can
do
finally stop selling my belongings.
Yeah. And he's got feet pics up on his Patreon.
Yeah.
I haven't explored the feet pics side of the internet.
Yeah.
I'm not going there.
Yeah.
There's a whole Discord server dedicated to my feet, Santa. You know?
Yeah. he what happens is I go over his place and I do his toes and I put little scoops that from me and from him on his little toesies and it's there.
Hey, you guys do you.
He paints my nails as well to make them look pretty, so when people look and zoom in for the scoops, you know.
Yep.
All right. Well, you guys,
Bye,
thanks
guys.
for hanging out with me today. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Have a great weekend. I'm headed to North Carolina for a wedding, and then I'll be back Sunday evening. So you guys take care.
Do that chicken dance, Santa. Do the chicken dance.
No.
Does he do chicken dances?
Perhaps, right? Da 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 da. Maybe we'll see. All right, you guys take care. We'll see you next time. Until then, my friends. Merry Christmas, and may the Force be with you always. Bye bye.